I'm Jason Hoban, and this is my EBMS podcast, Episode 1, the Industry Expert Review. In this podcast, I reviewed Gordon Firemark's podcast on entertainment law, a little podcast on podcast. This assignment was completed by Jason Hoban for Advanced Entertainment Law, Full Sail University. Gordon Firemark and Tamara Bennett had a discussion between each other about two different articles. The first one was from Karen Bliss of Billboard, and it was Canada officially extends copyright term to 70 years. The second article they discussed was by Ed Chrisman of Billboard as well. His article was CSAC buys the Harry Fox Agency. I chose these two articles because they relate directly to the entertainment industry, and these two articles have an impact on the industry that I work in. Gordon Firemark had a discussion with Tamara Bennett about several entertainment law topics. And the first one they talked about was how Canada extended its copyright from life plus 50 years to life plus 70 years. Now this came from the Canadian Economic Action Plan of 2015. Bam, brand spanking new. And the points that they discussed were how other countries had similar copyright, such as the US, and who it was beneficial for, such as the songwriters and composers. They later went on to discuss Ed Chrisman's article on how CSAC bought the Harry Fox Agency. In this article, they outlined how the company was acquired for $20 million. They talked about multiple bidders, mechanical rights, and music streaming. And all of this ties into the work that I do as an audio engineer. Let's discuss the takeaways. I want to start with Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8 of the U.S. Constitution. The Congress shall have power to promote the progress of science and useful arts by securing for limited times to authors and inventors the exclusive right to their respective writings and discoveries. I started with the Constitution because, well, that's where it all began, right? Well, copyright has grown and evolved so much, and so has licensing, and especially because of streaming services and new technology. So I think it's very important to approach copyright and license, and this is very important for me because as an audio engineer, I see this every day. So this inspired me to do a little bit of research on copyright that could possibly affect me directly as an audio engineer. Joy Butler points out all the different licenses and copyrights associated with sound recordings. One that stood out to me was the license to perform via digital audio transmission. I think this is a very important license to be aware of, especially with the mobile platforms, online services, and streaming. So let's talk about performing rights organizations, or PROs, such as CSAC or the Harry Fox Agency. So CSAC said, performing rights organizations, there are 3 in the US, are businesses designed to represent songwriters and publishers and the right to be compensated for having their music performed in public. The work I do requires me to license music. I license this music from pros, so if they acquire other agencies or organizations, I become limited to what is available or what options I have. As you can see, they point out that I only have 3 options as it is. From what I learned from listening to the podcast and reading over the articles, was that it's very important to know what's out there, to know of the types of copyrights that exist, and as well as all the licenses and the correct ways to go about using them. The final slides contain my source and reference material. Thank you for listening to my podcast. Take care.